Okay, guys, welcome. It's Sunday, June 20th. My name is Dave Coker. This is, of course, Talking About Finance. We've got 7 slides for 7 days. What me and my buddies been talking about, chatting about last week. Actually, it's a deep subset, a real small part, because we talk a great deal through various channels, through Telegram and Discord and a few other things. So let's start in. This is an interesting one, an interesting tweet by Ron Paul, and it's what I call the left-hand, right-hand school of finance. And he's worthwhile following on Twitter and perhaps reading some of his writing. He's very outspoken, very eloquent, very capable presenter on the topic of debt and government mismanagement of funds. And so you might want to read him. And he's asking a very relevant question here. How can, when we're so deep in debt, how can we spend trillions that we don't have? And what's going on here is, again, it's the left-hand, right-hand school of finance. And we see it in other activities as well. The left hand prints the government debt. The right hand prints the money to buy the debt, and there you go. Now the US has money and they can spend it. Now, the thing I find disturbing about this is that this is MMT, or modern monetary theory, in practice, but it hasn't been discussed, it hasn't been debated. And I've got the position this won't end well. This is why I tell folks, and I've mentioned it to you guys as well, buy gold, buy silver, buy property. Oh, and Bitcoin. Bitcoin's for fun. You definitely want some Bitcoin in there. But yeah, this is a bad time to be sitting in cash. You do need to get the cash out and put it into ideally tangible, real, physical assets. Or you can also achieve this if you buy equities that are backed by tangible assets. In other words, not garbage stocks, not meme stocks, things like that, but actual shares. I like REITs, or real estate investment trusts, for that purpose as well. So it's an interesting time there, guys. And when we're talking about government debt, due to the pandemic, as well as this totally irrational need that America's got, that they just have to keep expanding the military no matter what, we can see US sovereign debt is running at levels that we last saw at the end of World War II. Now, here's the thing, guys, and you have to, fact check me. I'm right, but fact check me, it's fine. Remember, after World War II was the period where we saw income taxes in the States, top rates were about 90%. And people trot this out in this current war against wealth that they've got going on back there in the States. And they say, oh yeah, after World War II, the top rate was over 90% and didn't hurt anybody. Well, the world was a really different place back then. Oh, and here's the best thing. That top rate of 90%, well, guess what about federal taxes? What nuance there was that they don't tell you. Everyone paid federal taxes back then. Maybe not at 90%, but everyone paid. Why? Fair share. They love to trot out that line, pay your fair share. And as an allegedly wealthy person, I'm targeted sometimes. And just pay your fair share. Well, guess what? I pay enough. And I do actively manage taxes. But that's interesting. So you'd have to be naive to think that these days won't come again. In other words, taxes in the States at some point will soar. And I firmly believe they're going to expand the net, because there just won't be enough money around otherwise. And everyone in the States is going to be paying federal taxes again, not just I think it's 51% presently pay federal taxes. I believe that's the correct number. So all I can say is start preparing now. I work on my taxes pretty much constantly. I'm doing it every week. I did a bunch this week, signed off on my 2020 taxes this week, and we got those submitted. I'm planning my taxes out to 2022 so far. I'm going to continue to do so. And this profligacy, I ain't going to be paying for it, guys. Who's going to pay for it? Well, people that don't plan. They're going to pay for it, because it's coming. It really, really is. And when we talk about government profligacy in these odd times, look at this. This is one of the most surprising things I've seen in a while. We've got the Greek 5-year bond, and the yield is negative. Now, this shows you how insane these markets are. Greek sovereign debt trading at negative yields? Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, Greece is a wonderful country, fantastic people, love the food, but there's a lot of issues with the economy, and it's really, really difficult to look under the hood and see exactly what's going on. There's some obscureness there, lack of transparency, I should say. So no, trading at a negative yield, isn't really appropriate. It's interesting when you tend to see that happen in general, even with Austria and other nations. But this is another sign of how nuts the times are. And of course, it's trading at a negative yield because so much capital is chasing the assets that people bid the prices up, and you've got a negative yield over the holding period. In other words, you put $100 in, and at the end of the holding period, you're not going to get £100. You're $100. You're going to have like 97 or 95. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's insane to ever just turn your money over to a government and get less money in the future than you would. It's really difficult to tell exactly what's going on there. There's not really much transparency there. And speaking of lack of transparency, guys, Tether is something we chatted about a lot last week. And again, go read up on the topic. Tether, of course, is a stable coin. And by stablecoin, we mean a cryptocurrency whose value is static. It's designed to be static at $1. So you don't get the volatility of Bitcoin and other assets, other cryptos like that. And whenever they issue a new Tether coin, they put $1 into a fund, and that way Tether is backed, and it does stay remarkably stable compared to other cryptos. But there's some concerns about Tether. When you put the money into Tether and they back it with $1, what you're getting, guys, is you're getting the benefits of crypto, but essentially you're getting it in the USD form. It's backed by the US dollar. And now people are claiming that Tether doesn't have the reserves needed. I don't have a view, but what I advise you to do is watch the money. That will tell you what's going on, because the money always tells the truth. And you can believe in the money, guys. You can actually follow the money and understand what's going on. So believe in the money. Don't listen to the talk. Don't listen to me. Just watch the money and believe. And we can see the money is flowing into Bitcoin. There's a lot of Bitcoin believers out there in the venture capital community right now. This is a nice little chart that showing that venture capital increasingly believes in Bitcoin. It's surging. Again, a lot of liquidity in the system. You got to put it to work someplace, and it's flowing into crypto. Now we're going to have to watch and see what they do with this money and what emerges from this spending spree. Hopefully it won't drop down. In other words, we'll see direct and continuing investments, see it increase over time. It won't be volatile, but it'll be really interesting to watch over the next 12 to 18 months to see exactly what products and services come out of these crypto companies that have been backed by venture capital. And when we talk about volatility, I know people point to Bitcoin and they say, oh yeah, Bitcoin's insanely volatile. Well, it is volatile. I call it fun. I always say Bitcoin for fun. It certainly is volatile. Take a look at stocks though. And what we've got here is I've got the Russell, this isn't my chart, but I've got the chart I'm presenting to you, I should say, is the Russell 2000. And take a look at its definition. It's a free float capitalization weighted index of over 2,000 stocks. I did look it up right before I came on mic here, and it's 2,035 small cap stocks trading in the United States. And my gosh, look at this. Look at it bounce around year to date. It's up, it's down, it's all over the place, right? I guess they're good trading opportunities. And keep in mind what Robert Prechter said. Robert Prechter said, with volatility comes opportunity. So maybe you could trade it. Maybe you can make some money. I don't know. I'm more a buy and a hold type of guy. Still, if you like this kind of thing, this is the kind of thing you like, so go for it. But it is volatile. I didn't calculate. Of course, not as volatile as Bitcoin, but that's not the point. These people that attack Bitcoin and call it really volatile, they generally point to stocks and say, oh, look at stocks, not that volatile. Well, you know, they do tend to bounce around a fair amount. And if you buy them and sell them at the wrong time, you're going to lose money. And that's why we just never sell Bitcoin, do we, right? Oh, and Bitcoin, really interesting, on Friday, entered what we call a death cross. And this got everybody chattering, right? Now, a death cross is defined. It's a phrase out of technical analysis, TA. I believe in TA, not exclusively and wholly in every tenet of TA, but a lot of stuff in TA works. And a death cross indicates continued weakness. And somebody did the Fibonacci retracements. I think it could trade down to about 21,000 dollars. A death cross, of course, is when the 50-day moving average drops down below the 200-day moving average. And it done it. And this is interesting, guys. Well, remember, when you do put a Fibonacci retracement on it, it could drop down to about 21K. Well, I told you guys before that I bought Bitcoin every Friday night from late 2012 all the way up to December 2019. And then I stopped, just because I had too much Bitcoin. Of course, Bitcoin surged and things like that. Well, guess what? I had been thinking about it. I've been watching the price declines, saw the death cross emerge Friday, and I'm nothing if not loyal to my investments and my asset classes. So I bought Bitcoin Friday night. I bought some more Bitcoin Saturday night, and I'm going to continue buying Bitcoin every Friday night. I'm a believer, and if you're a believer, good on you. Keep the faith. I'm not selling Bitcoin. As I mentioned, I did sell some Bitcoin January 9th just to set up a linkage from my non custodial wallet, my Trezors, to an exchange where I could realize the capital, the cash rather, I'm sorry, and transfer it back to my bank account to make sure that everything worked and my bank didn't freak and everything works. I'm not selling Bitcoin. I may turn over my Bitcoin to a custody operation. JP Morgan's looking pretty good there. And then a whole bunch of problems that I presently have, meaning Trezor wallets in safe deposit boxes, just sort of go away. And most importantly, if I bring over 100,000 from a Bitcoin exchange, my bank is going to freak. Anything north of 10, they really get curious about. Just sold a property and they got very inquisitive. And then complicating matters, it was a domain name, it was a property, and they didn't quite understand that. And why'd you get so much money for it? Well, somebody wanted it, and that cost some feathers. So I've been thinking I got to park my money with somebody like J.P. Morgan or Fidelity. My Bitcoin, I should say, primarily because it's a custody operation, and if J.P. Morgan drops a couple 100,000 into my bank account, it won't really raise that many feathers, eyebrows, I should say, compared to if it just comes from this relatively small, no-name exchange that unfortunately has the word Bitcoin in their name, so it's going to attract attention. But yeah, I'm not selling. I'm buying more. If you're a believer, please do the same. And that'll be good. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Now, another interesting week coming up. Looking at the futures as they're trading overnight, Asia hasn't opened up. We're going to see some weakness. Wouldn't surprise me to see additional falls in the States. That was a pretty nasty 2 day session we had going on there, and it rippled out into lots of things. And just pay attention to what's going on. I was buying stocks last week. I did buy Thursday and I did buy Friday. And I'm going to continue buying stocks. I only buy dividend paying stocks, so not those garbage, like tech stocks like Facebook or things like that. So I'm buying stocks. I'm buying Bitcoin. I might even get up and see my guys and buy some physical gold and silver. I haven't been able to see them, but now that I'm fully vaxxed, I can travel. All right, guys, thanks for your time. Hope you found it useful. You're going to make a lot of money this week. Just look for the ops. Take care.